Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Am I the Jerk? Our first post is by Realistic Gas. Am I the jerk for kicking my brother and his fiance from my house after she made comments on my girlfriend's eating habits? I, 30M, have been with my girlfriend Kelly, 29F, for 4 years and have known her for 10. Kelly is autistic and one of her biggest problems is food. However, since getting together with me, she has opened up to a lot of new foods. Just to give an example, she wouldn't eat certain vegetables as they are, but wouldn't mind having them blended in or cut in small spirals. Now my brother Kevin, 35M, have recently proposed to his girlfriend of 3 years, Laura. He mentioned he has some news to announce and will I be okay to host a family dinner at my place since I love cooking. I said it wouldn't be a problem, and we have decided on a Japanese theme. Now to the issue. For the main dish I have made ramen, including the noodles and broth from scratch. It had to be chicken, as Kelly doesn't really like beef or pork, and since my mother also doesn't eat pork. For Kelly's portion only I have added some extra veggies, zucchinis, carrots, sweet corn and some others, since she is not fond of eggs. So naturally her ramen was served without an egg, while everyone else had a standard portion which is enough to fill up a grown man. I also made sure there were some snacks on the table like tempura, yakitori skewers, onigiri, etc. Well, within the first half an hour of her being there, Laura kept picking on Kelly and kept saying she can't say she likes ramen because her version is not authentic. None of us are Asian or have any ties to Asia if it matters. Which was upsetting to her and meant that Kelly started to eat significantly slower compared to the rest of the group. It happens when she is getting anxious. Then Laura has tried to grab some of Kelly's ramen to try and prove the point. So Kelly freaked out since she really doesn't like sharing food that's already on her plate. This resulted in an argument between Kelly and Laura, and Kelly crying due to her being overwhelmed. After this, I have asked my brother and Laura to leave. My parents were absolutely terrified over how Laura behaved towards Kelly, and hinted that Laura should apologize. They ended up leaving a bit later. I have received a call from Kevin calling me a jerk for kicking them out and spoiling Laura's pregnancy reveal. He also wasn't happy about our mother scolding him over Laura's behavior. Our next post is by Serious Extreme. Am I the jerk for refusing to start using my first name despite pleas from my family? So I, 16F, am named after my grandma Nancy, my mom's mom. There's a bit of a tradition in my family to name the first grandkid of each gender after one of the grandparents of the same sex. I was the first girl. My mom wanted to follow the tradition and dad didn't. So I was named after mom's mom. My dad chose my middle name Sky. Ever since I was in kindergarten, I have used the name Sky instead of Nancy. My family called me Nancy for years anyway, but eventually everyone else would ask for Sky when they wanted me. My teachers called me Sky. My friends' parents, our neighbors, our doctor, everyone. So my family started calling me Sky too, and sometimes Nancy would slip in, but I personally never used it. My mom and grandma were the people most upset. Grandma because she felt like she didn't get her grandchild named after her, since it was never used, and my mom because she wanted the tradition too. But also, she doesn't like Sky, and only said yes to it as my middle name because Dad didn't like Nancy and she didn't want to be unfair. I have toyed with the idea of changing my name when I turn 18, but it feels like that would be a crap show. Ever since Christmas, my mom, grandma, and some other family members on my mom's side have suggested I should use Nancy again. Grandma told me it would mean a lot to her, and she said I'm getting to an age where the name doesn't seem so bad or old. My mom told me Sky isn't really a name I should be going into my adult life using. And she said Nancy will sound so much better. She also told me it is my name, my real name, and it would be a pain to use a name that isn't my legal first name as an adult. Other family members said I should do it to make my grandma happy, or I should do it because it seems like I'm rejecting my mom, which is weird to me. My mom and grandma sat me down last Wednesday and told me it means so much to them, and pleaded with me to go by Nancy. They said I have used Sky for 11 years now, and isn't it time to grow up a little and use my real name and use the family name? Mom told me it's embarrassing to her because some of her friends have asked why I hate grandma or my name so bad that I use my middle name like it's my name. I told them I don't want to be Nancy and will not start using it instead of Sky. I told them I am Sky and that might not be easy for them, but it's what I prefer and I'm the one living with the name. I'm the person who has to introduce myself. My dad is on my side and has tried to get Mom to back off, but she has been really unhappy since Wednesday and has been a little hostile since my refusal. Am I the jerk? Our next post is by Clear Accountant. Am I the jerk for wanting my wife to not tell her family about our financial situation? I recently found out I will be inheriting some properties and a significant amount of money. I told my wife but made it clear that this is only between us and she's not to tell anyone, especially her big-mouthed sister. I don't want anyone to know about the inheritance, invest almost all of the money, hire a property management company, and intend to keep our current lifestyle. Last night at dinner with her parents and siblings, her father congratulated me on my impending windfall, and my brother-in-law pulled me aside to ask about the houses I'll be receiving. He and his wife, my wife's big-mouthed sister, have been saving for a house, but haven't saved enough yet, and their credit scores are low. I was very angry with my wife the entire night, but I kept it in check. On the drive home, I yelled at her. I admit it wasn't my finest hour, but she did the exact thing I told her not to do. She argued that my secrecy demand was not right, and that she had the right and duty to tell her family about our financial situation, because it is also her financial situation. We argued for hours, so when I finally had enough, I told her she can't be trusted to keep our secrets, and that I'm not telling her anything else about the inheritance from this minute on. I said that in the heat of the moment, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. She tells her sister everything, and whatever her sister knows, everyone knows. I don't want the entire city to know what's going on with our bank account. We're due to meet our attorney and later a financial advisor next week, but I think I'll change that appointment to just me. Just to be clear, she's free to discuss anything with her family. I've only had 2 topics she's not allowed to talk about: my health and our finances. Our next post is by That Competition. Am I the jerk for telling my soon-to-be mother-in-law that I'm marrying her son and not her, just after uninviting her to our wedding? I, 28F, met my fiance, 28M, during college, and we have a great relationship. Last year we got engaged and we're planning the wedding for this fall. While he has an awesome dad and really sweet sisters, his mother is kind of a sore spot for him. She is separated from his dad, and from what I've heard and witnessed, the family don't get along much with her. If you met her, you'd understand why. She's super judgmental and rude and barely has a nice word to say about her own kids, let alone me. Unfortunately, my fiance, being her only son and the youngest child, is her blatant favorite. She really wants him to be mommy's boy, but he's not that way at all, and does a great job of handling her and keeping his distance, which honestly he prefers. Upon news of our engagement, she was super excited, very uncharacteristically. We then all realized that she basically wanted to frame the whole day around her. Think everyone should be praising me for birthing this boy. He couldn't even get married without me. From there, the craziness really ramped up. She was coming along with him to tux fittings, trying to plan out the music, even our first dance, and getting angry at me for daring to choose a dress she didn't like. The rest of his family and I were actually beginning to toy with the idea of uninviting her based on this behavior. And as wrong as it kind of innately feels, this is a pretty exceptional case, and honestly her actions were starting to make us dread our own wedding. A further incident a few days later where she told my son she wanted to walk me down the aisle so she could have a moment with her son at the altar made me, my husband, and my future in-laws snap. We very recently arranged for her to come over to our home where myself and my husband sat her down in the peace and quiet and gently explained to her that we no longer wanted her to attend the wedding. She got really angry and immediately flew off the handle at me and not her son, as though I was the one who had influenced the rest of the family to uninvite her. My frustration at her boiled over, and without shouting, I stood up and told her that I wanted her to stop yelling and that she had no right to speak to me as she was. When I realized she was about to blow up again, I cut her off with, "In case you don't know, I'm the one marrying your son, not you." She didn't say anything else, just snatched up her bag and left. She hasn't spoken to me since, but she's trying to get my son to change his mind, believe me when I say he will not. She wants an apology from me, and while my husband and the rest of the family don't think I did wrong, I kind of wonder if my comment was unnecessary, and whether it would have been better to stay the calm and collected party. I'm just so done with her, and I wanted to let her know exactly how I felt. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.